Hi everybody, it's Ms. Bond again, and we're going to be talking about another strategy of reasoning that's, you can think of it as the opposite of induction, where you're going from specific instances to general truths, and now we're going to be moving to deductive reasoning, which is the exact opposite. In deduction, instead of going from specific to general, you're going from general to specific. So in deduction, what you're doing is you're drawing conclusion based on any type of assertion that you know to be true. And once again, you're going from a general situation to a specific conclusion. In the example that you see here, we talked about, being allergic to seafood. That is a general truth. I am allergic to seafood. I know that. I made a conclusion inductively from all of the times that I ate seafood in the past and I got sick. And so I made a general conclusion that I'm allergic to all seafood. And so I then apply it to a specific situation in deductive reasoning, where I know that on this new occasion, when I eat this shrimp at the buffet, it's going to make me sick. And so once again, this is a specific instance based on a general conclusion that you already had established, or a general instance, and so then you come to a specific solution or conclusion. If we look at the example of motorcycle maintenance again from a different perspective, if you're opening up a manual on facts about a motorcycle, a mechanic will know that the horn of a motorcycle is powered exclusively by electricity from the battery. He knows that. That is his general information. And so as a result, he can logically infer that if the battery is dead, then the horn won't work. And that is, in this instance, that specific idea. So there was a general truth that was already known, that the motorcycle is powered exclusively by the electricity from the battery. And so in the specific instance that the battery being dead, then that means that the horn won't work. You start with a general piece of knowledge, and then as a result of that, you make a prediction based on a specific observation. When you're looking at deductive reasoning, there is an element of analysis that takes place. What takes place in the analysis of a deductive argument or in deductive reasoning is this idea of a syllogism. It's kind of, you can think of it as a formula in relation to what the thought process is like. And so in a syllogism, which once again you can think of as a formula for all our wonderful math folks, and they actually do use syllogisms in math. There is a funny story that I can tell you about that later. But in a syllogism, you have a major premise, which is that generalization, that general truth that you already know. And then what leads to that is a minor premise, which is some particular statement that falls underneath this general idea. And then as a result of that, there is a conclusion that usually ends with, or begins, with the idea of therefore. So really what a syllogism does is just follow the movement of the reasoning that happens. So this is, in your conclusion, is something that always follows from both the major and the minor premise put together. The classic syllogism is very simple and hopefully will help you understand this concept. So in the classic syllogism, or this formula, the major premise here is that all humans are mortal. Yay, we're people, happy joy, happy joy. But they're mortal, meaning that at some point in time, we will no longer be living. Now, and I apologize, it's a little hard to see with the spacing here, but the minor premise, remember this is something that follows as a result, can be under the general category of the major premise. Miss Bond is a human. That's me, by the way. My nice little peace sign up. And I am a human. See? General category there. And so, therefore, my conclusion is going to be, therefore Miss Bond is mortal. I know you can't see that, but that's what it says underneath that nice little picture there. Miss Bond is not going to be alive forever. And so that is your classic syllogism, this movement from a major premise on down to an ultimate conclusion. Here's another syllogism. So you have a major premise, all people die. My minor premise is I am a person. Therefore, what? Think about it. Think about it. Okay, yes. Therefore, I am going to die. That's what your conclusion is. Now, trust me, I'm not trying to be morbid or anything like that, but I think that that is a very succinct or clear example of what deductive reasoning looks like. It doesn't have to be about mortality, obviously. Just want to use these as illustrations. Another one is that all cats meow is my major premise. My minor premise is that Cuddles is a cat. Therefore, what? Wait for it. Wait for it. Yes, Cuddles meows. Why? Because it follows logically from the major and the minor premise. Now let's look at something just slightly more complicated, but still follows the same basic structure. The major premise here is that the United States can and should reduce the production of heroin in other countries when its own citizens are affected. The minor premise, which once again follows as a result of that general truth here, the dominant producer of heroin for the United States market is Afghanistan. Therefore, what logically you can deduce from that is that the United States can and should reduce heroin production in where? Afghanistan. And this is the type of deductive reasoning that people do on a regular basis. So quickly, just to recap, because there's going to be another flip lecture about how do you then analyze deductive arguments to see whether or not they actually are valid or not, or if they're true. But let's, for just the sake of argument's sake, as we continue on with this and to kind of wrap it up so that you have a basic understanding of what deduction is, we know that deduction is the opposite of induction, and that in deduction, what you are doing is moving from some general situation, some general idea, or let's take that word and use the word truth, some general truth that you have that then you can make some type of adequate prediction that will apply to some very specific situation here. So this is a movement from the general to the specific. And there are numerous instances where this will take place, and you'll be able to apply this later. So we have something very, very general, once again, to specific. And the general concept in relation to deductive reasoning is the use of a syllogism, where you have a major premise, and then after that you have a minor premise that goes underneath it, and then finally that moves to some very specific conclusion that is based on the evidence that's presented. Okay, everybody, that's Miss Bond's time limit at this point. So if you have any questions, remember to have those ready for me in class, and we will discuss as well as practice some deductive reasoning and how to analyze them for its validity. Okay, everyone, take care. Bye-bye.